Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. This time, we're going to be tackling the heated discussions surrounding the RSI Galaxy base building and all the controversy that's kind of bubbled up around it. You've sent us a bunch of forum discussions and developer comments, and it seems like people have some pretty strong opinions. You can really see the range of emotions, from disappointment and even anger to those who are still optimistic about the game's future. So let's go back to last year's CitizenCon 2953. This presentation, along with the unveiling of the Pioneer, a dedicated large-scale base builder, led a lot of people to believe that CIG was working on a base building module for the Galaxy. Then fast forward to this year's CitizenCon 2950. They introduced a new ship, the Starlancer BLD. This one is specifically designed for large-scale base building. And to make things worse, CIG developer John Crew came out with some clarifications, I guess you could call them. In response to everyone being concerned, he said there are no current plans for a Galaxy base building module, and that any past discussions about it were purely speculative. But that kind of contradicts what they said at CitizenCon 2953, right?
Correct.
So a lot of players felt betrayed, and they started to question whether they could trust anything CIG says at CitizenCon. Yeah, and the reaction was pretty immediate. A lot of players, especially the ones who bought the Galaxy specifically because they thought it would have base building, felt misled. They argued that what CIG showed in 2953 was a promise, and now they're backing out of it. There were accusations of bait-and-switch tactics, and some players even started demanding refunds for their Galaxy pledges. It is worth pointing out, though, that Crew did try to explain why there wasn't a Galaxy module. He said the way base building works right now with drones and stuff doesn't really work with the Galaxy's modular system. But a lot of people didn't buy it. They thought it was just an excuse. CIG not being open about what's going on has just led to more speculation and distrust. And then there's the subject to change disclaimer that comes with every pledge. Some players feel like CIG is hiding behind that. So now you have this community that's divided. You've got those who feel betrayed, who want CIG to own up to what they did, and those who say that's just how game development works. Things change, be patient. So where does that leave us trying to make sense of it all? The Galaxy controversy is like a microcosm of the challenges and the opportunities that come with making games this way. And this actually reminds me of something that happened with StarCitizen before. Things can change during game development, sometimes pretty drastically. Shows how hard it is for CIG to balance what they showed in those early presentations with what they actually end up building, especially with a game world that's this complex and always evolving. It's like you invest in a luxury apartment based on the plans that show a rooftop pool, and then years later they tell you, oh, sorry, we can't build the pool anymore, there are structural problems. You're probably still going to get a great apartment, but it's not what you signed up for. This situation also makes you think about the ethics of selling concept ships. People are basically buying into a promise, an idea of what the game might become. But how much can CIG be held to those promises when the game itself is always changing? It's a tough balancing act, and CIG hasn't always done it well. Releasing the Starlancer BLD right after they said no Galaxy module, well, it definitely made it seem like they were making decisions based on money. So what can CIG do to fix things? How can they rebuild trust and address all the concerns people have? They can't just ignore it, right? They have to acknowledge that a lot of people are angry and disappointed, and they need to do it in a way that shows respect for the players and their investment. No more vague answers or dismissive comments. Players deserve real answers, detailed explanations, and a clear plan for how they're going to fix this. And if there are other reasons, like design decisions or financial considerations, they need to be upfront about those too. Being honest, even if it's hard, is the only way to rebuild trust. Maybe the Galaxy could play a support role in base building, using its cargo space and modularity in a way that no other ship can. Or they could give Galaxy owners bonus in-game currency or exclusive cosmetic item. And it goes beyond the Galaxy or base building. This is about making sure StarCitizen stays healthy in the long run. It's about rebuilding trust and making the community feel like they're really part of the development process. It's a complicated situation. And to handle it right, CIG needs to be mature, transparent, and accountable, which, to be honest, isn't something you see a lot in the gaming industry. So this brings us to a bigger question. What does this controversy tell us about the future of StarCitizen and the relationship between CIG and its players? This whole Galaxy thing has really made both CIG and the community step back and think. Crowd-funded projects are built on trust and transparency, more so than traditional game development. CIG has had its fair share of criticism in the past about how they communicate, especially with that whole feature creep thing. When the scope of the game keeps growing and timelines get pushed back, CIG really needs to explain to the community why those decisions are being made. And we have to remember how ambitious StarCitizen is. It's a project unlike anything we've seen before, constantly pushing the limits of technology. With that level of complexity, there's always going to be some uncertainty. One thing that's really clear is that players want more than just words. They want action, concrete steps that show CIG is actually listening and taking these concerns seriously. So what could those solutions look like? We talked about the possibility of a new Galaxy module, something focused on a specific aspect of base building that works well with the Starlancer BLD. But what else could they do? Imagine if, in the next big patch, they released a ton of new base building components, new tools, maybe even entirely new gameplay systems built around player-made structures. That would show they're serious about delivering on the promise of base building, even if it looks a little different than what people were expecting. They can't just wait for something to go wrong and then try to fix it. They need to anticipate concerns, address them directly, and keep the community informed every step of the way. This whole situation has revealed some weaknesses in that relationship between CIG and the players. But it's also a chance for CIG to learn from their mistakes, make changes, and build a stronger, more resilient connection with the community that has made StarCitizen possible. This is a defining moment for both CIG and the StarCitizen community. And for everyone listening, we hope this deep dive has given you something to think about. How important are pre-release promises to you when it comes to game development? What level of transparency do you expect from developers? These are tough questions, but they're worth considering as we continue to watch this ambitious and constantly evolving project unfold.